In this video, I'll be talking about a very important setting of assembly drawings, which I had mentioned in the video, which was generally about drawing settings of assembly drawings. But I had kind of glossed over it in the sense that I had said that I'll explain that in a separate video. And it was in this Views tab over here. And this is this one, which is called Keep Your Manual Changes, right? And I had said that this is to do with when you have assembly drawings and you update them, then if you had made any manual changes, they get lost, and that's a difficult thing to maintain. So this video is entirely devoted to this one feature called Keep Manual Changes. And let me go back to the model, and let me take you through the process of how this particular feature works. So let's choose a particular assembly. Let's choose any assembly. Let's take this assembly, for example, and right click and say select the assembly. So it's a bit of an odd looking assembly. This part is welded, the beam is welded to the end, and say show only. And now we can look at the assembly, and it's a pretty weird looking assembly. It's got these double plates in the center. It's got these purlin connections, and on the other side, it's got these gusset plates coming from the other side, and there's splice plates at the end as well. And let's say we want to create an assembly drawing for this. And how do you do that? Well, it's very simple. You basically just select the assembly. Well, let's perform the numbering, for example. Let's say apply and start numbering. And when the numbering is finished, we can just select the element, any part of the assembly, right click and say create assembly drawings. And when that's done, so now it's created that assembly drawing in front of you. Let me double click on the drawing manager, and here is the drawing. Let me double click on the drawing to open it. And this is the drawing. This is the assembly drawing which it has created. Let me zoom in. Here are those weird looking plates, the purlin connections over there, the plates on the other side. You can turn off the visibility of these wells if you want, by the way. So the wells can be turned on and off. If you want, the symbols will remain, but if you want the wells to actually show or not show, that will depend on your choice. But so here we have all the single parts are drawn, all the plates have been shown, and well, this is the assembly we have. Now let's say I'm not very happy with this assembly and I want to make certain changes. So I can make those changes, but normally what would happen is that if I were to then go back to the model and make a modification to this assembly, and then redo the numbering and then update this drawing, what will happen is that any changes I had made to this drawing would be lost, because those would be manual changes, and the assembly macro would then run from scratch, and that would be the end of all the manual changes. So I want to take you through those steps now. Now, like I said, let's say I'm not happy with this drawing and I want to modify it in some ways. And I could be unhappy for different reasons. I could be unhappy because of the annotations or the dimensions, usually those kinds of things. Or maybe there's an extra view which I want, which the automatic assembly drawing hasn't taken, or hasn't taken properly the way I would have taken it with whatever depth of view. So let me do those kinds of changes, and let me go in, and I'm going to just make a few just so that the idea can be understood. So let me zoom in, and let's say I'm not happy with this welding symbol over here. Okay, it's showing the welding, but I would have like put it a bit on this side because it was kind of clashing with the P1 over there. Now, for example, let me zoom in over here, and okay, I see that this annotation of the weld is clashing with this, so I can maybe move this a bit to the right and leave it like that. Now let me zoom in and see these single parts. They're looking okay. I can live with those. Let me move in there. It's taken an RR section over there. Let me maybe it's not very clear whether this folded plate is in the center. So maybe I can go to my dimension and give it a dimension like that, and like that, and kind of leave it over there. Zoom in there, take this P3 and move it a bit. And basically I'm happy with, maybe I can draw an extension line now like that. And I wanted to add this extra dimension. So these are things I can typically do with my drawing. I can move around well symbols. I can move around annotations. I can add dimensions. I can perhaps go in there and modify an existing dimension. So although this is not required, but maybe I want to just add these points over here to an existing dimension. Maybe this is the way the shop wants it. And this is, I can do all that. Another thing which I might want to do is, because these are very close, I might want to pull them out a bit and maybe take this one and pull this one completely out, and so they look a bit clearer now, maybe. So these are the kind of things I can do with the drawing. Now what we can do is, let's say we are now happy. I mean, obviously I'm still not happy, but let's say we are happy, and I just close the drawing and I say save it in its existing state after the modifications which I've made, and now it's saved away in the drawing manager with the modified version. Let me go back to my model, and everything is okay. Everything is fine right now. If I were to take a printout of that drawing or send it to the client, it will be in the shape in which I've left it. But more often than not, what happens is that we have revisions in such structures, and not only once, but we tend to have them sometimes many times. So let's create a revision now. And what I can do is, for example, I can create maybe I can create a stiffener over here somewhere. Yeah, that looks like a neat spot to create a stiffener. So what I can do is I can go to my stiffener command and select the assembly and say, give it a point like that, and create a stiffener over there. Now I've made a change. This is basically now changed the assembly. And what is needed now is numbering. And obviously when I do numbering, then the drawing would also need to be updated. So let me go through the numbering process. Just remember where this is at near the end towards where the splice was. After these double stiffeners, I've added a normal stiffener. So let me go to my numbering and say perform numbering once again. And let me say apply and start numbering. Now that it's done, let me press OK and press close. And that's the end of my numbering. Now let's go back to the drawing side. Let me double click on the drawing manager and open this drawing. This drawing has been frozen, so it won't be updated. And what that means is that the stiffener won't show right now, because I've purposely stopped the macro from updating by using the freeze option. You can freeze any drawing, and the last time it was created, it was created with the freeze option. So right now, if you zoom in, you will see that my changes are over there. I had moved these dimensions up, this one down. I had added these dimensions. They're all there, but the stiffener, which was supposed to be over here, hasn't been imported yet, because obviously I've frozen the drawing right now, and by freezing it, it breaks out all links temporarily. It doesn't allow the macro to run again. And the problem obviously is that when the macro runs again, the stiffener will come, but these changes will be lost, the ones I had made manually. So I had added these dimensions over there. I had gone in there and I had moved this annotation a bit to the right. I had made certain changes to added this dimension to show that this is symmetrically placed, etc. And now my problem now is that I have made a change. I've added a stiffener, but I've also done many manual changes. And on the one side, I want the new stiffener to come in, and on the other side, I don't want my manual changes to be lost. And this is what that command, which that feature, that setting of the drawing, assembly drawing settings called keep manual changes. This is what it does. So let's update the drawing and see how that behaves. So let's double click anywhere on the drawing, go to my macros, double click my assembly macro, and let's the feature was on. Let me just, the keep manual changes feature was on. Then all I need to do is just say execute and then close and turn these off. And now if I were to see, I can immediately first of all see that the stiffener has now been imported and it has been dimensioned. But what's good is that my weld location has also been preserved. And if I were to zoom in there, these extra dimensions which I gave have also been preserved. Similarly, if I were to move down a bit, this annotation was clashing with this weld symbol, and I've moved that. There was a section called RR section. It was somewhere over here, but it's moved somewhere else. Yeah, there it is. In that RR section, I had given these extra dimensions to show that the center folded plate was symmetric according to the with respect to the I-beam. So all my manual changes are still there, and the new stiffener has been imported and dimensioned as well. So this is exactly what I want, and this is the reason why we have this keep manual changes feature. Like I said, this dimension was moved down by me manually. The other one was moved a bit up. So my manual changes are there, and the extra stiffener has also been imported and dimensioned. And this is exactly why we need this feature, this setting called keep manual changes, because in steel detailing, although in COMOSYS more often than not your drawings are very clean and you can use them directly, but every now and then, obviously especially with complicated assemblies, you do occasionally have the need to modify stuff. And I've shown you only moving around the annotations, but what you can also do is move around. You can create new views, for example. So if I wanted an extra view, an inclined view over here from these stiffeners, I can go into my section command and create a sectional view, and that new view will be created, and I can insert that view over here somewhere, and that will be a totally manually created view. And but even when, and then let's say I go back to the model and insert another stiffener and do the numbering again and create this and update this file again, that new stiffener will be available over there. But in addition to that, my new view, which I had also created manually, will also be available. So this is a very powerful feature which allows you to do a lot of things. There are some things you can, for example, what it can do is, if you don't like, the one thing which it doesn't allow you to do is delete views at this moment in the present version. So what you can do is that you can actually move, you can if you want to delete certain views and you don't want them to show in the drawing, what you can do is you can take that view. This is not the right view to move out, but you can just move it outside the drawing, and in the next update it won't place it back inside, it'll keep it outside. So when you do a DWG or DXF export, that particular view will not be exported. So you can do a workaround like that. So it doesn't allow you to delete stuff at the moment, because deletion creates other problems, and then there is no way to actually maintain the indices. But you can move existing stuff around, you can move existing dimensions around, you can add new dimensions, you can add new annotations, you can modify existing annotations, you can move existing, you can totally rearrange these views, for example. So what you could do is you can move this view over here, and you can move this view over here. Let's say you want to do a rearrangement of views, and you feel that's a better way of sending this drawing to the shop. And after doing all those modifications, now somebody adds a stiffener, and but you've made so many manual changes regarding the overall layout of the drawing, and you want to preserve that layout. But with this option set on, all you need to do is just update the drawing, and all your manual changes will be preserved for you.